So what does it mean to start a band? Maybe it's a new band for you. Maybe it's something that you've been at for a little while. Maybe it's your first band and you're trying to figure out how to get started. Well, I'm going to give you my 2 cents because I'm old and I've been at this for a long time. Here we go. What does it take to start a band? Well, a couple different ways you could start. Obviously, you've got to find people to play with. If you have people that you know already and you're like, hey, we should start a band, and you guys all know each other and you kind of have the same thing, you all like the same stuff, that's the easiest path if it presents itself. I mean, you can go to Craigslist, you're going to find a lot of wackos on Craigslist, but you can find that hidden gem from time to time if you're patient enough and you're willing to just hold out. There's places like Band Mix where it's a little bit more tailor fit. There's tons of Facebook groups now that are geared towards musicians looking for other musicians and bands looking for musicians. So that's a good route to go. But once you get there, I mean, it's obvious stuff. Like, you have to all be geared towards the same goal and have the same mindset on what you want to do. I mean, if you're, wanting to be like local weekend warrior and you're meeting up with guys that want to buy a van and go on tour, probably not going to work. Your goals have to be like-minded. So that's something nowadays with online that you can kind of weed out a lot of BS that way and kind of pick and choose, what might not work for you. Once you get in that situation and you've gotten past the point of finding someone and you're in a room and you're figuring out what works best, I mean, provided everything is in the same vein of what you're wanting to do musically, I mean, you can't find someone that wants to start a country band and you're wanting to start a thrash band. It's not going to work most likely. So unless you want to do a country thrash band, which, I mean, they have country rap, I guess, or crap as I call it, but whatever. I mean, obviously that's a criteria is finding people that are like-minded. It takes a while to get the personalities down and figure out how you're going to work together, how the writing process is going to work, what your space is within that process of contributing to the songwriting or the arranging or whatever it may be. Now, I'm a drummer, so I don't write songs. I do help arrange songs. It's like adding the little touch of salt, a little dash of salt at the end of a well-prepared meal. It just adds a little extra flavor to it. You just have to find your space. You have to find where you can live in that ecosystem and in the band room. All that stuff will fall into place for the right situation. Finding those situations where it does work, it's not easy. So once you do find that situation and you're in a position where you've got a great thing going on, I mean, how do you foster that? How do you maintain it so you can continue the growth in a positive direction and maintain what everyone's artistic voice is within that? I mean, my thought is to be a band where it's a collaborative effort and more things are equal than one-sided, where one guy brings in the songs that are completely done and they're like, this is what you're playing. That's not something that I'm interested in doing. Not that I'm uninterested in hearing other people's input. That's not it. I'm uninterested in being part of a band. And being part of a band means a collaborative effort, of putting songs together and creating a sound that is made up of the individuals that are in it. I'm never been interested in being in a band where someone says, you're going to play this right here. You're going to play a halftime part. You're going to play this. No, I think everyone brings what they have to the table and what comes to them instinctually, and by doing that, you're creating your voice within the context of the music that you're creating, which I feel is just so important. I mean, it may not be exactly what everyone had in mind and what their perfect vision of any particular song was, by what you're playing, but I feel that that's what makes up the collective effort and what makes up the uniqueness of a band, is being able to collaborate and everyone bring their own 2 cents into it and actually be able to contribute to the music. Now, you know, you're not going to play blast beats on a, you know, a slow, heavy, melodic song. You know, obviously that's not going to work. So it has to fit within the music. I mean, you have to serve the song. You have to serve whatever style of music you're playing. But that's always been my thing is, you know, if you can't be a part of the process and collaborate with people and work with people and have your ideas heard as well. It's every individual that makes a band great. You know, it's not any one person's vision. There's no push-pull there. There's no resistance, you know, and I think resistance within reason creates great music. So maybe people agree with that, maybe they don't, but that's what I've always found. You know, the bands that I love, there's that little bit of creative indifference in there, and when everyone brings their own personal taste into it, that's when it's great. And it's the collective of everyone involved. So as far as maintaining it, I mean, you just have to be on the same page with everybody. I mean, and ride it for as long as you can. If you're enthusiastic about it, you know, the last band I was in, the music that we were creating was my favorite music. And that's not an egotistical, you know, tooting my own horn thing, saying, oh, you know, it's my band, it's the greatest band ever. I'm sorry, if you don't love what you're playing and it's not something that you would love to listen to, if that's not the goal and that's not what the output is, then maybe you keep looking. The music that we were creating was music that I wholeheartedly, you know, I would go by and I would listen to. I loved listening to it. You know, I loved listening to what we created, and I was in disbelief that it was actually something that we were creating. We met each other on Craigslist, and I was just about to give up. I was this close. I was gonna remove the ad that day when I met Aaron, and he presented a song that just blew me away. And literally, I had to sit down, literally, because the song was that good, and I was in such disbelief that it actually, you know, after months of trying to find someone to play with and start a band online, all the freaks that I met, I was that close to hanging it all up and just saying, screw it. I'm just going to be whatever drummer and whatever punk band or whatever brings itself up. I'm just going to play on other people's projects, and that'll be it. You know, it is what it is. But anyway, if you can find that one little thing that makes it, you're like, when you write something, you guys are like, oh my God, you know, and it's like comes from your toes. That is when you've got it. So that is my advice. Look for that. Because, you know, it's right there. It's right there in front of you. No, that should be the goal. Finding something that puts you in a frame of mind where you're just in complete disbelief that you actually are able to contribute to something that moves you as much as it does. That's the advice. So what is your experience joining bands or creating bands? You know, have you ever found that one special thing that made it like, oh my gosh, that's it. This is it. This is what I've always wanted to do. Have you ever found that? I'd love to hear about it. So put it in the comments, and that's it. We'll see you next time. Later.